Okay, so I was going to write a post on how to use a pressure canner, but when I sat down to do it, I realized it was going to take a whole lot of pictures and a lot of time. So I thought it might be fun and easier for you guys if you just watched me demonstrate how to use one. So this is an All-American 21.5 quart pressure cooker canner. You can cook food in it or you can can in it. It'll hold 7 of these quart jars, or it'll hold 14, I think, of these little pints. I'd have to look again, but it also comes with 2 of these racks. You put one in the bottom, put your cans on top of it. If you're going to do 2 layers with the smaller pint jars, you just layer them like this, one on top of the other in the pressure cooker canner. So it's really heavy. The first thing you got to do when you get it, you wash it out real good. Before you use it, you need to put Vaseline on the inside rim and on the outside rim up here. Some pressure canners have a gasket. This one does not, which is a feature that I really like. So you just grease it well so that it doesn't stick when you're canning. There's also a little arrow here on the front. That's where you need to line up your lid. There's an arrow on the lid as well up here. You just line them up and twist it to lock it in place. You try to keep it straight. Make sure that the gap is even all the way around. And when you're ready to put your lid on, you need to put the little screws up on opposite sides at the same time. So you tighten these 2, you tighten these 2, and then you tighten these 2, so that you make sure the lid is on evenly. Something else that you need to do before you put your lid on to get started is you need to check up here that the vent is clear, that it's not blocked, so that the steam can escape. So I don't have anything really to can right now, but I brought some already canned beef stew so I can just kind of demonstrate how you would use it. You'd fill the pressure canner with 1.5 inches of water, then you put your rack in the bottom, and then you just line it with your jars of pre-filled whatever you want to put in them. They would be hot, so you would be using a rag or something to put these down in there. Like I said, this will hold 7 of the quart jars. So I'm going to get all 7 in there. We'll pretend that I've already greased the outside and the rim here. We'll put the lid on. Lock it in place. Let's see, get my arrows lined up. Where the heck's my arrow? There. Okay. Alright, lid's in place. Tighten your little wing nut screw thingies in. It also helps if you grease these little screws here too. You just grease the threads so that they come undone easier. Do these 2 tight, these 2, these 2. I am pressure canning on a flat top stove. They tell you not to do it, but I do it anyway. And I know lots of other people who do it, and I've never had a problem with the stove cracking. Use your own judgment. So you would just put it on the biggest burner, turn it on to high heat to get it boiling inside, and you'll watch this gauge. You'll also watch, right here's the steam vent. When this starts steaming, a good stream, you let it go for 7 minutes. Once that time is up, you'll look at your recipe and see how many pounds of pressure you need. Beef stew needs 10 pounds of pressure. So it also comes with this little gauge. It has a 5, a 10, and a 15 on it. If your recipe says use 10 pounds of pressure, put it on the little 10 on the vent. If it says use 15, put it on the little 15, and so on. So we'll put it on the 10 and pretend I'm cooking my beef stew. So this will be steaming. Once you put this on, then you start watching your gauge right here. It ought to go up to the 10. I'm wanting it at 10 pounds of pressure. When it gets there, this will start rattling. This little gauge, it'll start rattling and hissing. You need to turn the heat down so that this only rattles about 3 times per minute. If it's rattling a lot or spewing steam, you need to turn the heat down. So about 3 rattles per minute. And I usually turn it down to about medium heat once this starts going. And next you need to watch the gauge till it gets all the way to the 10. When it gets to the 10, that's when you start your time. If it's an hour and a half, like for quart jars of beef stew, the recipe says go for an hour and a half at 10 pounds of pressure. So when it gets to the 10 mark, you set your timer for an hour and a half. And then after that hour and a half is up, you turn your burner back off and you just let it cool down. You don't move it, you don't open it, you just let it cool down until this gets all the way back down to the 0. Once it's at the 0, it's safe to open again. And then you would just take your little gauge thing back off. It'll steam a little bit, not much. And then you would slowly undo the screws. Remember, this is at 0 when you're opening it. You turn your lid and you open it away from your face because the steam will be escaping. These will be very hot. Something that's nice to have is a jar lifter because it helps you not burn your hands. So you would just use this little tool to pull your jars out and set them over onto a cooling rack. So you would just unload your canner like that, and once your jars start cooling, you should hear the lids pop, and that's telling you that they're sealing, so you know you did it right. Once everything is all cooled off, you need to check your jars. Let me move this. You need to take the lid off, the ring off, and make sure you can't pull it off easy. If it comes off, stick it in the fridge and eat it in the next couple of days. Or you can dump it out, put it back into a clean jar, and redo the whole process all over again. But it ought to seal good for you. And don't reuse these lids. You can't reuse them. You can reuse the rings. And I think that's about it.